incredibly excited that I got PowerBlocks on sale.
That dude, that
It's
friggin' price. Like when you sent me that screenshot, like, I had to go to the website. I was like, holy shit.
yeah, I was shocked. Of course, to be fair, I would rather have the set that you have, which is
Sitting over here, they're fantastic. They're beautiful. I love them.
incredible. Like all metal, right? All the pieces are metal.
It's cast iron. It's fantastic. And like I was reading reviews of them, and the reviews that I found the funniest were like people complaining. They're like, well, if they're kind of loose and you hear them clinking together. And that's like my favorite part. Like it's cast iron plates clink when I'm pressing and I hear clink, and I can smell the cast iron. Like it's the perfect way to like start the morning. Like I'm ready to just like seize the day after that. Like I hate that I have like the rubber coated. I was like, because I want just like the plain cast iron plates for everything, but like that there's a shortage of those, I guess. They're super expensive. Like,
Yeah, I have cast iron plates, which the company that I got them from no longer exists. So I guess they just folded because of COVID, but they became a company because of COVID. And I remember cross-checking them with every company out there I could find that was making them at the time to see what I could get. And so I got definitely plentiful of them. But when I was going to do the handles, right? So I don't have anything against the handles. And Matt and I talked about this before, off out of the podcast, that um, the benefit to the ones that Matt got versus the ones that I was going to have was that Matt has the quick change ability for the weights in a cast iron setting, which is incredible in the world of adjustable dumbbells. That's basically
right.
guaranteed to last for a very, very long time
And
without
it's
ever falling
it's
apart.
it's just a simple click. It's so fucking cool. Like,
Yeah. And you have like the knurling on the handle and everything too.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Like
um,
it feels like a real dumbbell. Like even when you get up to, because like they're 80 pounds, and then you've got the little like 1.225 pound magnets that go on the outside, so they can go up to 85. Like they even with all that, they still feel like a real dumbbell. And so like
yeah.
that to me was key.
Yeah. And so I was going to get the handles, but you kind of lose the quick changeability for like drop sets and fast progression up, like when you're warming up, and then also drop sets when you're trying to go down and get that extra bit of muscular stretch and muscular fatigue while you're working out. You lose that in the hand lock sets, like because you can't change those super rapidly.
It's like I just remember having those when I was like a teenager. Yeah, and just the old school one, just having to flip it off and all right, take these plates off, stick them out. Okay, they're on there tight. And like even like I think the guy we could probably do a whole episode on that. Like the transition time with home gym stuff versus in a commercial gym. Because like even if I'm doing something from high pulley to low pulley or vice versa with my pulleys, it's all plate loaded pulleys, and I can't adjust the pulley until I pull all the plates off and then adjust the pulley and have to stick everything back on. It's like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, it's the downside of the plate loaded system versus the weight stack, right? So I can see the utilization for both, especially in the more recent time with the plate stacks. There's a company called Gym Pin, and you can stick it in the plate hole to hold your weights in place, and you can load plates onto it. So you can overdo
Right.
pulley system, which also technically isn't really recommended for a lot of pulley systems,
Mhm.
but it has a certain weight limit on the pulley that you'll snap the pulley at a certain point in time, which is probably way greater than you adding any plates to it. Um, but that would add the utility to a weight stack versus plate loaded, like Matt was saying, where you have to pull the plates off. I have an even greater DIY version of the pulley system where my ratio is 1 to 1. Absolutely, because it's a singular pulley. But um,
See, there are times when I'm loading on so many plates, I wish mine was 1 to 1. It's 2 to 1. It's I'm like,
yeah.
this would be so much easier if it was 1 to 1.
Yeah. I will say the funny thing that was when I first tested out, I was like, why is this so heavy? And then I was like, oh, I'm used to a 2-to-1 ratio, and this is a 1-to-1.
I'm having to remember biomechanics from college. All right, gotcha.
Yeah, like, it's like, am I really that weak? I'm like, oh no, I'm not. I'm still similarly as weak as I was. Just now I'm having a more direct effect on lifting this weight in this
See,
manner.
like I wish it was 1-to-1 because like when I was doing low rows the other day, I'm like, I don't want to have to go out and buy another pair of 45s just for low rows. Like because I have 4 45-pound plates, I have 4 25s, 4 10s, I have four of everything essentially. And I'm like, and it's like I was already like maxed out on the pulley for the low
No,
rows. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. You have to get some chains or something
right.
to like
Stick
just
some bands
drape it
on there or
over.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Oh man, that's awesome. But yeah, no, either way, like I got PowerBlocks in the way. I'm super pumped and excited for it. My oldest son told my brother-in-law. So my wife watches my brother-in-law's kid when um, her sister-in-law, my brother-in-law's wife. It's a weird
So a
circle of
lot of
yeah. You have to use it
a lot of titles. Yeah.
grammatically correct stating things there. Uh, but my wife watches our niece when her sister-in-law, my brother-in-law's wife, is at work, and my brother-in-law was dropping off my niece this morning, and my oldest son told him, "My mom used to work out, but she doesn't work out anymore." And he's like, "Oh, really?" And I was like,
From the mouths
"Oh."
of a child. That's
I was
always
like,
great.
"Oh man," it's like, so I started. I was like, "So you ready to start working out again?" And she it's like still in the contemplation phase, still not quite ready. Um, but either way, I got power blocks. That way, both wife and I can work at the same time. So she'll have the older set of power block candles, which I said we can get rid of those and get different ones. And she said no, she wants to just stick with those. So she'll keep the essentially first set of U90s, and I'll have the PowerBlock Sport XP EXP that goes up to 90 all the way. So super pumped and excited.
So
Um,
you're putting over the power blocks. I'm putting over the Snode dumbbells. Surely somebody from one of those companies hears this. Do you want to send us extra stuff? We can battle it out. We can prove who's superior. Like, hey, I don't
yeah.
know. Maybe an idea.
Hey, that's kind of the thing. I saw a video guy was able to go from 5 pounds in power block all the way up to 90 inside of 30 seconds. So with each of the increments in between, like he recorded how quickly he can change from all those things and taking the bolt out and putting them back in.
Uh,
I was like, you must be flying though to be able to get through 30 seconons, like taking the two and a
hey,
half out and put them back in. But anyways, we've been talking about dumbbells a lot. It's not even what we were planning on talking about.
but you know what? Like has helped us reach that level of strength to be able to lift those dumbbells. Especially for like shorter bursts of power. One of my favorite supplements, and one of yours too. I know that we've talked about ad nauseum over and over again. Creatine monohydrate.
Oh, absolutely. The we mentioned it
How's
in
that? How's that for a smooth transition?
yeah, well, I was just saying we mentioned it in our last episode, episode 100. So if you haven't gone and listened to that episode, go back and listen to it. Leave a review, leave a rating on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, including YouTube. We're on there now. Share with your family and friends. I've been excited and very thankful to all of you out there that have already subscribed and have hit the notification bell over there. That is going to help us immensely be able to get out to other people and expand our audience. So thank you to those of you that have already done it. And if you haven't done it, please go do that. Again, that's going to help us out. And that way we can provide better content for you. Um, anyways, we mentioned it. It was our first thing that we mentioned in things that we had changed our minds on. So creatine monohydrate, it used to always be steadfast that you had to load it, and now you don't have to load it. But it is easily the largest amount of research behind any over the counter supplement that you can get that's out there. It's insane. When I was in undergrad, I had my macronutrients class, and we had to write on a topic of anything we want to talk about. It had to be nutrition related. And I was like, easy, creatine, no problem. And the one thing that he said was like, do not give me a paper on creatine. He's like, I've seen these papers for 20 years. Don't do it again. It's like, it's like the easiest thing to write on because there's so much research behind it. Um, we also mentioned it in our episode on conditionally essential supplements. And as a quick overview, because people, this comes up all the time, creatine is not a steroid. Okay.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think yeah, when you especially when you start getting into working out, you're like, okay, what's something that's gonna take to help me out a little bit? I think the first thing most young teenage males go to is like, creatine, creatine's awesome. I've heard good things about it. And so I think, yeah, the outsider looking, it's always like, oh, anything's gonna help you. Steroid, steroid, steroid. Like
yeah. I think the first time that I heard about creatine monohydrate was when I was 14, going to the high school gym after being bussed over from the middle school. And they had to bring it up and talk with us because some parent had complained about it being suggested as something that could be beneficial to student athletes. And all I remember was the coach's face being so serious. Like it, some parent must have like reamed him for suggesting it to their kid, to be him to be like, we really need to discuss this. And he discussed it as if it was like some illegal drug. Like it might help you, it may not help you.
it's
Like,
gonna destroy your kidneys. I know that's what one of the first things I always heard.
well,
Oh, your
no,
kid,
it was
yeah.
actually the
Oh,
opposite of that. He, to his credit, I remember it very distinctly to this day. He said, "There's a lot of research out there on this supplement, and it might help you and it may not help you, but you don't have to go and get it. You can still play and be good without it. You don't need it, but for some of you, it might benefit you to take the supplement. It might help you better in the weight room, which is going to help you better on the field, and so on and so forth." Like, it was a very, but I mean, he was like very like, and he also went over the loading protocol. I remember that.
nice.
And but I mean, that was, I was 14, so that was literally like 24 years ago. So it's, things have changed. Um, but either way, creatine, it's a natural occurring substance in your body. Everybody should be making it. If you don't, you might have some other issues back there. But it specifically uses, it goes into the pathway to help create the energy that your muscles need to contract and relax. And
So we're gonna break down metabolic pathways right now because
no, I'm
that's
not
always
going that
fun.
far. I'm not going that far. I'm not going over the Krebs cycle. I'm not going that far. I'm just saying that's where it comes in, that if you supplement with it, so your body normally makes um, about half of what you need naturally, and then the rest of it comes from your diet. So if
Lots of
you,
steak. Just have lots of steak. Steak's good.
yeah, red meat specifically, yeah, definitely, yeah. So I was gonna say red meat, steak, whether it's from a cow or from a pig, um, either way, or lamb, right? So any red meat's going to be the highest source of creatine that you consume. Then seafood and milk, animal milk products, right? So not any of that nut juice. I'm talking about animal milk. Um,
You said nut juice.
I did, because that's what it is. But um, it's just, uh, there's this funny meme that floats around there. It's like people, angels going to God, be like, they want something other than animal milk. So they made this almond milk. And he's like, I gave them all these animals that create milk, and they decided to go get nut juice instead. It's just like, it's like, yes, I appreciate that. That's an adequate representation. But creatine comes from all those sources, and so you can get it. But then you can also supplement with it beyond that number, which will fully saturate your muscles when you get to the full saturation. We mentioned that again in our what we thought differently, what we've learned in that podcast episode 100. Go back and listen to that. And once you get there, then the muscle gains come. So we talked about that. And so the reason why it makes you gain muscle, which is so in the studies, in the evidence, 1 in 4 people do not respond to creatine supplementation. Okay. So that means that 75% do respond to creatine supplementation.
Yeah, I've seen stuff that maybe offers to 50% that don't respond or non-responders. So yeah, like depending on the study. So yeah, so between 50 and 75% of people out there will respond to creatine supplementation with strength training. So yeah. So I
Yeah.
like I like those odds.
Right. So let's say though that, you know, you take it for the muscle gains, but it doesn't help you with muscle gains. What are some other things that creatine supplementation could help you with
Ooh,
outside of muscle gains? Do you know where I'm going with this, man?
I don't. I'm intrigued.
Okay, so this is where more recent research, right, gets really interesting because when research is done and you look at the studies, usually in the discussion section, there is some allusion to additional studies that should occur, right? So, um, protein patterning or eating a consistent amount of protein throughout the day or eating different amounts of protein, that's been studied in various ways at different times, different groups of people. And usually at the end of those studies, it'll say, in our research, it suggests that we should look into this X kind of different way to do it. And so then that other studies come about. That same thing happened with creatine. So some of the outlier things that they would just, like weren't part of their study or part of their inclusion criteria, and they found these other interesting things with it. What is really interesting, I think, and this is certain studies outside of sport, but for people that are 60 years or older, they found a lot of neuro benefits to taking extra creatine.
Nice.
And so the reason why they got to that group was because they were studying it to see does it help them with their muscle building, but then they found these other they're having these other interesting things that they're noting that's happening to them. And so then they did additional research in there. And with that part of it, I think that there is no reason to not try and supplement with creatine for most people. Now I will say if you should consult your physician that you regularly see and that provider to determine if you know creatine monohydrate supplementation is good for you. But for the vast majority of people, like
Yeah, I think as far as like
it's
anything, if you could pick like one thing to supplement based off of like you know benefits versus risk versus cost, like it's all there. Like all right, so worst case scenario for the majority of people, like you said, like talk to your doctor. But I feel like worst case scenario for most people, it doesn't do anything, and you're not out of like a whole lot of money because like it's creatine monohydrate, it's dirt cheap. Best case scenario, it helps you put on a little bit of muscle mass, helps you with a little bit more energy in the gym, or apparently according to this research, hey, it helps neurological functioning in older adults, which hey, I like all of those things.
right,
So yeah, I think if the worst case scenario is being a non-responder to it, that's pretty good versus taking a lot of other things where it's like, oh, worst case scenarios, and then you have this litany of side effects.
right, yeah. There's very little of that with creatine. So I threw that one out there with the 60 years and older population. But even if you're younger, there's found some benefits to short-term memory, so better recall short-term, and um, a reduction in the recall of things. That's a little bit different. Short-term memory benefits are not necessarily recall, but um, I don't know how to like. I'm not a neuroscientist, so it's not like my thing. But um, yes, recall is one of the short-term memory benefits, but sometimes it's like instead of just recalling a list, it's your um, ability to perform tasks that you were just shown, like something that's a new task for you to do. Put this through this way, and you get like 5 steps of it, and then you have to go here and like redo the same thing 5 minutes later.
All those things you had to do, like when you signed up for like a Psych 1101 lab and they gave you $5 and
Yeah, you're not incentivized by the money to go there. You're incentivized by the chocolate chip cookie that you were told not to eat. Um, I ate the cookie. I'm sure they just threw away mine. They're like, "This guy's an outlier." Scratch. It's like I will not eat this. I forget
like
what it was.
I'd always hate when they were like redoing experiments that I knew the study that they were doing, so I knew what they were trying to do. You know, like the would you shock somebody if you couldn't see them type, type stuff. It's like I know what you're doing, so I'm gonna skew your results because I'm gonna immediately shock them because I'm a sociopath. So
Oh man. But so there's a couple of other things though that creatine, a lot of neurodegenerative diseases, like um, people that had muscular dystrophy, Parkinson's, and Huntington's all benefited from like a reduction of signs and symptoms of those conditions when taking additional creatine monohydrate. So like the research is still kind of out there, but that kind of suggests that there's some kind of brain connections that it's helping with, because it's specifically in those um, conditions, muscular dystrophy, Huntington's, Parkinson's, that's some neurodisruptor that's occurring, but creatine seems to help lessen that effect. So creating additional channels or something, I don't know.
what do I
But
look like? A fucking scientist? I don't know. It works.
yeah, but also, and so this is in combination with exercise. So they're kind of like, is it creatine or is it exercise? But it also has been shown to benefit in type 2 diabetes and blood sugar
Yeah,
regulation,
I've seen that.
which I think is like really intriguing. And from this review in the journal Nutrients, just in 2021, it suggests that the possible mechanism underlying the effects of combined exercise and creatine supplementation is enhanced glucose transport into the muscle cell by GLUT4, or the type 4 glucose transporter, translocation to the sarcolemma. So that makes sense in the effect that creatine saturation helps move not only fluid into the cell, but it's also helping with moving energy into the cell. And so, of course, if it's helping with the breakdown of carbohydrates to ATP, you're going to get a greater infusion of glucose from the extracellular fluid into the muscle. So,
Yeah, all these are fantastic benefits and fantastic reasons to start taking creatine that are much better than the reason I started taking it at 15 or 16 is because Brock Lesnar advertised for the Muscle Tech Cell Tech creatine. And I was like, all right, works for him. Like clearly that's all he's doing. That's all he's on is some creatine and it works for him.
yeah. And so I also want to point out that you'll find out if you're searching for creatine monohydrate, you'll find it in many different forms. The powder, which is the cheapest one, is the best one. Like all the other ones are just a gimmick to make money off of you. Like you don't
And,
need
and
to do those other
and
things.
I think they've kind of gotten rid of this now, but like they had all the other versions of creatine that were not monohydrate years ago too. They had like four different prices for those powder. It's like, oh, with all the research, the superior one's still creatine
Yeah,
monohydrate.
it's still just the plain one. And you can get, so if you go to NSF, the letter N, the letter S, the letter F, nsfsport.com, you can find creatine monohydrate products on there that are certified for sport, which means that what they say is in it is in it. And so you're not going to get some other product that's not actually the creatine monohydrate, right? So um, those are anything that is on that list. I would say is safe to take, um, and specifically, I only purchase supplements that I find on that list or ones that are USP verified.
Or if you're really adventurous and you're hoping to add something else to it, just make sure you look at that list and don't buy anything on it. You're hoping for Mass Tabs
Yeah, I was
2.0.
gonna
Come
say
on,
that's
big money.
it was so, they were so cheap, which it was so great for such a product, so cheap, which definitely led to the bodybuilding.com headquarters being, rushed by the FBI and the what was it? The DEA came in there too. Like they all had like a raid on the facilities because they were like, "You guys are selling steroids here." It was just
Wait,
boxes of
what?
mass tabs. So, like they didn't
uh,
know.
I wonder what the expiration date was on those. Like we should have just like stocked up.
Yeah, I know.
Because those are really good for you. They're fantastic.
Right. Oral steroids are really hard on your liver. Highly
Uh,
recommend. Be very
that
careful with those things.
just that, yeah, that, and then I know we both ran. Well, I won't say both because just in case you don't want it out there, we both ran H draw for a
Oh, I
while.
tell
Like,
people all the time when we took it, it was legal. It's totally like
oh, it was completely legal, but the side effects were insane. The amount of like cycle support stuff you had to do, so you didn't feel like you were gonna like die while you're on it, was great.
I didn't
But
think it was
damn,
that
your
much.
muscle. Oh, it shot my blood pressure up. I had this crazy lower back pumps,
You didn't
like
take
we
the
just cramped.
Hawthorne berry?
I had to take all of it, like, and then some of
Okay,
everything.
I was gonna say I took all of the stuff. The one time that I took, I took them too close to each other, and like I bottomed out. I was like, my blood. I was like, I'm really tired. With the other direction, like I was like, okay, note to self, gotta spread out this Hawthorne berry because I'm definitely reacting to it. So let's do that.
The worst, I can't even remember what mechanism was causing this and what we had to take to stop it. I don't remember if you dealt with it or not, where it would give you like the insane like pain in the lower back,
Um,
like every muscle was seizing up. Like
yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember which one that we had to take that did counteract it.
yeah, no, but like it
Because it
was
was,
because like H straw was like cheap, and then like you still had to buy a bunch of other stuff to make sure you just didn't feel like death while you were taking it. So it's great.
yeah, and I mean, like I don't know about you, but I ran it for the appropriate amount of time, so that way I didn't experience any of the other negative side effects.
Right.
So that was the whole thing. Like
I I just love like all of the legal at the time stuff. Like so much more worse for you than if you just like did some testosterone. Like
right, right,
like
which is now more widely given to people. Like, in fact, it's kind of one of the my gripes with the blood draw that I took because it was like this is the norm, and people have people like the mass market of lab testers and quote unquote experts on male hormones have shifted the norm value over the last like 15 to 20 years to a smaller number. So my lab is quote unquote normal, but if you looked at the average number that it's supposed to be like 10 years ago, I would be on the low end, like almost not normal. And I would be getting recommended for TRT 10 years ago. But now it's like, oh, that's perfectly normal. It's like, is it though?
this is
Because
not my profession. This is not my professional opinion. This is not the opinion of franchise nutrition and fitness. This is my personal opinion. I think every male over 30 should be on TRT. Like it's fantastic. Like
you just think about it
I've
for its
heard firsthand.
amazing medical.
Yeah.
I've heard firsthand how great it is. There's I'm not disagreeing with how incredible the supplementation of testosterone can be for hormone replacement therapy if you need it. Uh, but that said, um, yeah, I don't have anything against it.
So if there are any TRT companies out there that would love a podcast that would certainly welcome some supplies, and I would be happy to promote you guys. By all means, go ahead
Yeah.
and come our way.
Hey,
TRT for FNF. There you
hey, yeah, don't worry. Well, that'll be our discount code.
go. Easy
I'll
to
find a
remember.
I'll find a way to get it in there. Either way, so this podcast has been all over the place, but
Right, we were like, hey,
um,
it's gonna be about creatine, but like, long story short, creatine good. Like it does good stuff.
yeah,
Take some creatine. We're not prescribing because we're not doctors. TRT is great, but that's not what we're talking about.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
So like creatine definitely help you out with a lot of things, even outside of muscle growth. Get on the creatine. Get your some adjustable dumbbells. You'll be able to use those a lot faster because you're taking creatine. And if you feel like you maxed out your dumbbells, uh, maybe you should get some test and see what you can really max out. All legally, of course.
Yeah, any of the good illegal hookups have been closed down, or so I'm told.
I do think that there.
What was the one? What was the one in Miami a few years ago? They had like everything. They got busted big time.
Oh yeah, I can't remember. I remember what you're talking about because
Like it was like
somebody.
the one like so many wrestlers and baseball players and stuff were getting their stuff from. Like they had everything, and it literally could. So I'm told could just arrive to your door like easily.
Yeah, I remember somebody asked me if I had heard of that place, and I was like, yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I do know what you're talking about, and I won't tell you how I know.
Like it was
So
just like
it's gonna
literally just
say,
just a normal website where it's just like because like
yeah,
most of the stuff that you like for the
they shifted like
uninitiated
a
like
proprietary blend. It's a
right like
supplement.
that or yeah or like it's like oh like this is for research purposes only. I know that was like a lot of the stuff back in the day like but like this was literally just like yep this is it this is the real stuff and I don't know how they got caught.
Yeah, yes, but either way, if you are out there listening to this podcast and you're enjoying um, sharing this with other people and those kind of things. If you have not yet signed up for your free meet and greet, head on over to franchiseenough.com, sign up for your free meet and greet today. That way, we can work with you on any supplements that you should be taking to help you get the greatest gains headed towards your goals, right?
That's gains with a Z, right?
Gains with a Z, always. But either way, like we say every week, maximize every bite.
But not every injection, not every ingestion, but maximize every rep.
Yeah, it's a couple Z's in there. All right. Thank you, everybody.